Ladies and gentlemen, Stop Killing Games has finally hit 1 million signatures, thanks to a content creator who started it, Ross Scott, and arguably someone even more crucial to its success. Someone who hated the movement and did their best to dissuade people from signing it by spreading uneducated lies about what the movement actually is.
Single-player games.
No.
That do not need a server to support them.
No.
Single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is.
Pirate software. How the hell did this even happen? For those living under a rock, the Stop Killing Games initiative was a petition started by a gaming YouTuber and by all accounts seems to be looking out for consumer interests in the gaming space. Something I've been doing on this very channel for over a year now. Stop Killing Games' mission is to call out the new industry standard of terminating games after the studio or publishers decide to stop supporting it. It seems that nowadays when you purchase a game, consumers are forced to agree to the terms and conditions that the game could be shut down at any time at the publisher's discretion. Meaning that, and don't get it twisted, you don't actually own the game you buy. Games like 2014's The Crew, 2021's Knockout City, and Echo VR in 2023, which is close to my heart being that I started this channel primarily on VR content and was a game that was extremely well received, but Meta in its infinite wisdom decided to shut it down to, and I expect, to starve the original Quest headset ecosystem of good games in order to move consumers to buying more updated headsets, the ones made obsolete by Meta and could not support current games in the space. And if you let me digress for a second, this shows that monopolies in these types of hardware, big mega tech companies is not a good thing. Anyway, the list goes on and on and on. Games that if you've spent your money on can never be played again. Another industry push to you will own nothing and be happy. This new practice by large studios like Ubisoft can get pretty nuts as well. People care about this stuff. In November 2024, two California gamers, Matthew Kissel and Alan Liu, filed a class action lawsuit against Ubisoft in the US District Court of Eastern California. They argued that Ubisoft misled customers into believing they were purchasing a game, not a time-limited license tied to servers. They compared it to buying a pinball machine, only to have the manufacturer remove parts and make it unplayable. Ubisoft violated California's false advertising law, Unfair Competition Law, Consumer Legal Remedies Act, along with breach of warranty and fraud, which I don't know what most of those things are either, but they sound pretty bad to me and likely there to protect consumers and general ownership over shit you pay for. Ubisoft's defense of this maintains that purchasers received a limited license, not a perpetual ownership. They argued the lawsuit was untimely and plaintiffs suffer no real legal injury. Wow, except that they had spent money on a product and you snatched away in your greedy little Ubisoft kind of way, didn't you? As of this very year, Ubisoft has filed for this case to be dismissed, still defending its practice of ripping games people pay for away in order to, and I expect, cause more demand in the market for their slop through the use of just having less games out there to play, so buy the next Ubisoft garbage we'll just snatch away in a year. And some of these games don't even last a year, which is just messed up considering these companies expect people to pay with no refunds. Pirate Software has a problem with stopping this, it seems. But let's be honest, he is just butthurt he isn't the shining knight of gaming justice in the spotlight that didn't think of such an initiative himself. Apparently, Pirate Software's core stance is that while game preservation is important, the current draft of the petition is too broad, technically and legally problematic, and risks stifling future game development. He calls for targeted, precise regulation that addresses problematic online-only single-player games rather than sweeping mandates across all live service titles. As if the large majority of live service garbage isn't already predatory enough, he seems to be more worried about defending these multi-million-dollar companies like Ubisoft than looking out for the consumers. Something I thought he was all about when I first heard about him over a year ago. No. The problem here is getting too far into the technical jibber-jabber of how pulling digital products away from people who pay for them is wrong and will only provide more footholds for these predatory studios to use their leagues of lawyers to poke holes into. Not only that, but petitions aren't law. They get worked out in a far more concise way when they get turned into policy through negotiation, when studios and consumers can finally meet in the middle and both be happy about something. But for now, Stop breaking shit we pay for, you multi-million-dollar fuckheads. Anyway, it seems that Pirate Software began to lay into the movement with 2 videos about it clearly misunderstanding the large majority of things it was lobbying for. And the response has been palatable, with massive internet influencers like Asmongold stepping in and condemning Pirate Software's take on this whole thing, and rightly so. I don't know how you can steel man an argument for companies that sell you things they can just make not work at any time of their choosing, and in my opinion is a little something called planned obsolescence. Kind of like when the iPhone was caught uploading software to older hardware in order to make it work like shit so they can force everybody to buy the next iPhone. Except in this case of games, they would just shut the fucking thing off. Anyway, as of the making of those videos by Pirate Software, the petition was only at about 600,000 signatures, I believe, and now with all of this publicity around the situation, it has hit 1 million signatures. But what does this mean for studios that want to continue this egregious practice? Honestly, I don't know. I'm rarely paying attention when a petition is accomplished, and too few of them have reached meaningful milestones to know what typically happens. I assume this will spark further debate on whether or not this should be allowed to continue. Will it end there though? I hope that when you buy something, the stipulation isn't that the company you purchase it from has full control over its lifespan. I hope that we can start owning things we spend money on instead of owning nothing and pretending it's okay. That would be a world I would like to live in. This is a very interesting topic considering the video I just did about Ready or Not's censorship. Censorship that they implemented into their game that applies to PC users that had already bought their game after the 1.0 full release. This is in order to bring the game over to consoles and make it a cross-platform game. And I'm wondering if digital products should be altered at all after buying them, except for with improvements and updates, not censorship or nerfs. Anyway, if you want to see a deep dive into that situation, I will leave it at the ending of this video. Thank you very much for being here and watching for as long as you have. Please remember to subscribe. It means so much to me, being the small channel that I am. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a very nice day.